So, hi, and welcome to the Seraphine podcast. I am Seraphine Arocha, and today we are with Josh Montez, who is the Dapper Latino. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I have to say, just to set up this podcast, I'm super excited about it. This man is probably one of the staples of Kansas City for when I go out. I want to know where he goes to eat, where he goes to drink, where he goes to shop. And he is a man who celebrates just the opportunity to exist. And I love that. There's too many people who are in a place where they feel like things are too much or they're not enough. And what I like is that Josh celebrates life in a way that is in abundance without smashing your face into it. He's reminding you like, hey, life is happening right in front of you. Join in and have some fun. So I love
Seraphine, that was the best intro.
I love it.
See, thank you.
Thank you. I mean every word of it because I am. I literally your actual Instagram is one of the ones where I do. I'll look at Johnny, my husband, and I'm like, where do you want to go? And he's always like, I don't know, where do you want to go? And I'm like, let's go on Josh's page. And then I'm like, all right, let's go here, here, and here. So talk to me as we begin this conversation. Talk to me about how you even got set up in, and I say influencer with the cringe in me because I feel like you have a lot of impact on people, but how did you kind of get into the influencer game? You know,
it's funny because like you said, being an influencer, I'm much like you. I dislike the word, but I just embrace it. I mean, it is what it is. That was never on my radar. 5 years ago was when I was approaching 40, and I was telling my partner, it's like, okay, I'm about to be 40 years old. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. I mean, what?
Oh, you can say what the fuck. You can say fuck a doodle doo. Yeah.
I didn't know. I was like,
oops. Yeah.
You'll edit it, right?
Oh no, me and Joe Rogan. I'm like, give me some Joe Rogan love because he's fuck every other word.
So for me, I'm like, okay, WTF? Like, I feel unaccomplished. I don't feel like I've done anything with my life. And even though I was in a great relationship, I still am. I mean, my partner and it was just, there was just something in me. And I think genetically, even as men, we're kind of programmed genetically to lead and to, provide.
Yeah.
And so at the time it was just my partner. Yeah. And so he said, and I've been doing interior design for a long time. That's actually always has been my passion as a kid, even as a child, as an interior designer. Like my happy spot, kids would go like, let's go to a toy store. My happy spot store was like furniture stores. I mean, as a kid. Cool.
Where did that come from? Is that like from your dad, your mom?
I'd say from my mom probably, or even both, because my mom would, anytime they'd go to the furniture stores or just look at something, they'd always ask me for my opinion. Yeah. Because I was so like, just, so it's like I was a kid in a candy store, but in a furniture store.
Yeah.
Or in a home goods store. And so when I moved to Kansas City in September of 2008, I believe, my partner, this is our home. We have a condo downtown. He goes, this is your home now. So like, let's just, this is like awesome. Do with it as you please. We can sell everything. So I literally sold all his shit. We were literally sleeping in sorry, I shouldn't say shit, but all his stuff.
Yeah.
And we were literally sleeping on a blowout mattress for like a month because we were slowly kind of redoing the condo. And from there, we started meeting our neighbors in the condo building. And it's funny because Kyle had lived in that condo probably about a year because it was brand new, moved in about a year prior. He had just gotten out of a 20-year relationship.
Wow.
And
talk about pressure to set up a space, because I do have to say, when you are with someone, because my husband had been in a marriage for 10 years and the hard part was for me to come in and be like, okay, so I'm the next relationship, and then you're like establishing this like separation, right? Because there are some things that they owned
exactly.
in previous relationships. With my husband, he was a rare bird where she actually passed away. So when he got rid of things, he got rid of a lot of things. But there was still this sense of like, I wanted to create a home, because he was not, he'd be the guy who'd be happy with whatever. But at the end of the day, I'd waited so long and I wanted a proper home, but it's so much pressure.
I started getting all my ducks in a row. So I got my LLC. I started looking for a web designer. I got my attorney. I got my CPA. So I started getting all my ducks in. As my partner, as a businessman, he's kind of directed me on what to do.
Yeah.
And so finally, I found, after 3 or 4 web designers, I found the perfect one. And he helped me get it started. And he said, "Okay, Josh." And at the time, I had a 10-year-old flip phone. This is my second smartphone ever.
That's hilarious.
So he said, "You do know, if you're serious about, a website, you have to get rid of that phone." I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
It
works.
Everything. It works.
Yeah.
It texts. I was like, "Text me a picture." Text me a picture. Of course, it's all pixelated and shit. And I was like, "If you're really serious, you need." I was like, "No, I don't want a smartphone. I don't want a Facebook. I don't want Instagram. I don't want any of that." He goes, "You have to have that stuff." I was like, "Nowadays, you have to have that." I was like, so I fought it for a couple of months, and then I was like, okay. He twisted my arm.
Yeah.
And so that's how we started the Instagram. So we started debating about what should your handle be? I was like, "I don't know. I have no idea. This is your idea."
Yeah.
And his name is Mike Fitton. Hey, Mike, if you see this, if
Yeah.
you hear this.
I love
So
it.
anyways,
Yeah.
he, so just think, let's brainstorm. So I was like, all right. I was like, well, so you're Latino? I was like, yeah. I was like, I do get a lot when I'm at events. "Oh, you look so dapper." So I was like, "You always look so dapper." I was like, so I mean, on a regular, without sounding
Yeah. Inflated. And
inflated.
Be like,
But yeah, so I mean, I do put some, thought
Yeah.
into what I'm doing, but
Totally.
like quickly. I don't like, I'm not one of those people who's like goes through 10 different outfits.
No.
But like, I kind of process quickly.
Well, you know your aesthetic. I mean, if you're an interior designer,
Yeah.
I would think with fashion, you're quite particular.
Yeah. So, and then he goes, and then this just Dapper Latino. He goes, "Why don't we just throw in the number 1?" I was like, "Sure."
All right.
But I didn't mean it to be like the number 1, because I don't
Yeah.
mean it, but it's just I'm one Dapper Latino. Like,
Yeah.
that's one Dapper Latino. So I love understatements.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times that I do like to be like, "Hey, look at me."
Bling, bling. Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
but usually that's not me. I kind of like try to scale it down a bit.
Do you have a vintage piece or something that's been given to you from a family member that you're like, hell yes, every time I wear it?
I'd say the Cartier Pantera pin that
Yeah.
I have. Well, that was my dad's, actually. So
Very cool.
when people see me wearing that, people who know what it is, they're like thinking, "Holy shit, like that's shitloads of money." But
Yeah.
like, they think I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
my dad. So
Yeah.
he passed away. So I mean, I got a lot of his stuff, but that's probably one of my most meaningful.
Yeah.
Because it was his, and but yeah.
Did he wear it often?
No.
Interesting. Isn't that so? It's so cultural. Like, it's your nice thing.
He didn't hardly ever wear it because he thought it was too. My dad was, he's Mexican, so very
Yeah.
Latino, very macho, and I can go ahead and say this because
Yeah.
he's no longer with us, anyways. But my dad was, in the drug business.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so he was the drug business.
Yeah.
So that was they didn't have any money, so they gave him this.
I gotcha.
So it was
All
one of
right.
those things. So he really didn't want,
Yeah.
I mean, he wore it like, I think once, and it was like, he thought it was
Yeah.
too feminine. So he gave it
Interesting.
to my mom, and my mom didn't want it. So I was like, well, fuck, I'll take
Well,
it.
little did we know
Yeah.
that would be a staple, because
Exactly.
it's a beautiful piece. That's pretty cool to know the story behind it, though.
Yeah. So he was and actually not off subject, but like, that's where I think I get my social, like, I'm very like warm from my dad. My dad was always very social, and like, he would give the shirt off his back to anybody,
Yeah.
but also like, don't fuck with them. Big shout out to St. Luke's. I mean, they had me in there like within 5 minutes. I
Oh.
filled out whatever I did and
Yeah.
put me right in through the doctor, and then through the CAT scan
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And 10 minutes later, it's like, so good news and bad news. Good
Yeah.
news is there's no blockage. There's nothing going on in your brain.
Yeah.
Bad news is that probably you have Bell's palsy, because they were having me open my mouth. I couldn't open
Yeah.
my mouth all the way, and it was just, so you have Bell's palsy. So I'm
So
like,
how does Bell's palsy, like,
so the doctor told me, what's so funny, one of the nurses recognized me.
of course, she's like, wait a second, are you one Dapper Latino?
No, she
Yeah,
did.
no.
She goes,
Yeah.
the nurse, the doctor asked me, so what do you do? She goes, you don't know him?
I love it. I
Like,
love it.
he's one Dapper Latino.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, well, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And she, but you must be like pretty busy then. I was like, oh, I keep busy,
Yeah.
And so it was, well, you need to slow down. part of Bell's palsy too is just your immune system just kind of shutting down.
Wow.
So you're going, and if I think about it, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, no sleep.
Yeah.
Sundays when it hit, Sunday morning, the whole drama, the whole like just
The stress.
being angry.
Yeah.
I mean, I was angry that the whole thing over the Insta feud.
I love it.
I was still kind of livid about all that, and it takes a lot to piss me off, and I was pretty pissed off. And it's just accumulation of things, and it just showed me, it told me that I needed to slow down. I mean, I was in such a high of just keep going, trying to, because I was so I didn't do what I'm doing now for so many years since I moved here.
Yeah.
Now that I started kind of gaining a following or making a name for myself, I just want to keep going.
Well, yeah, and I feel like when you've been searching for something, right? And it's like, oh no, I'm enjoying this. I'm good at this. I want to keep going.
Yeah, well.
I think the one thing that's so interesting is when you don't give yourself any grace.
Yes.
It's like you just go because you're like, well, I've waited this long to do this, and now I'm doing it, and I'm loving it, and you're passionate about it. And if I stop, I think that's the other thing is for me, that sense of becoming not irrelevant, but like you're kind of riding the wave, you know? And I understand that responsibility, especially in my 40s. I think I'd be a little bit more chill about it, but because most of my life I've always been kind of laid back. And now there's this sense of urgency with just this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like,
that's the thing. You have that sense of urgency of like, you don't want to, we all have, I believe we all have that need to be felt included or feel relevant or whatever.
Purpose.
Yeah, a purpose.
Yeah.
So for me, that's when I realized like, okay, I need to slow down. Like I need to focus on me, like just, and do what the doctor said. You need to slow down, just focus on get you some R&R. And I did. I went home, got my medication. I think it was prednisone. And then they prescribed Valtrex.
Oh, interesting.
So Valtrex, for those of you who don't know, and I didn't know, well, I did know because I saw the commercials.
Yeah.
Valtrex is usually for herpes.
Yeah, it's for the,
So you get, and because of the immune system, we all have, as the doctor said, because when she prescribed, I was like, wait, why are you giving me Valtrex?
Yeah.
Then I'm looking at my partner, I was like, why is she giving me
Valtrex? Right. You're like, wait a second.
No, and she's no, that Valtrex is because we all have the simplex, whatever herpes in our spinal fluid.
Yep.
So
the herpes simplex 1, I think.
Yeah, it's in the spinal fluid. So, and because of like what's happened to you, it just gets released or whatever.
Yeah.
So and that's what causes also, and it helps to have a quicker recovery.
Interesting.
So, and the prednisone to just the swelling, because what it is, Bell's palsy is a nerve in the back of your brain that is swollen. My point was being like, no matter how fast you want to get to your destination or how fast you want to become popular or famous or whatever, you have to slow down. If you don't have health, you have nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so for me, it's like this is what's going to happen to you if you don't slow down, and if you get people to just get under your skin.
Yeah.
So, and that I wanted to put it, at first I didn't want to, it's like, who wants to put their face out like that? But you know what? It's normal. It's normal shit. It's shit that it really happens to people.
Yeah.
So why not put it out there? So that way, and the response was incredible. People were like DMing me. I had like, every day there was multiple like deliveries, balloons, flowers,
I love
edibles.
That. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, like not edibles like edibles, but like
like literally like yummy little like little morsels of yumminess. Yes.
I mean, it was just beautiful.
But I believe more than anything that now is the time, and seeing just what's happened to you in the past 2 years that we've been in each other's kind of radars. Mm-hmm. You have, your voice has changed even on your platform of social media in a way to me where I'm like, now I'm really curious to see not just what restaurants you go to,
where I'll take it,
and where but now like what do you stand for?
Yeah,
and
because that was one of the things.
Cool.
Because I don't want to be just another person who just talks about food and fashion and interior design all the time. I think those are great stepping stones to to something greater.
Yeah.
I don't want to just, that's not what I want to do the rest of my life. I do want to make, as we all do, we all have that want to do something to make an impact in life, in somebody's life, on a bigger scale. I think that's, I mean, if you don't have that kind of thirst or hunger, then you're kind of dead inside, I think.
Totally.
So we all want to accomplish something. And I think we all have big hearts. We all want to get somewhere to better ourselves. But I think deep down, we all want to help other people. Yeah. I really do. I mean, there's people out there that don't. They're all about them, and that's that's
on them.
Yeah, that's on them. Yeah. Hey, if that works for you, great. But that's just that's never who I've been and never will be. So there's certain things. There's a lot of things I can't really I keep to myself that I want to accomplish. But but that's one thing for sure, is to deal with all the injustices, racial injustices. Yeah. That is something that I've always wanted to really work on.
Well, I completely, from the bottom of my heart, I am so glad that you're sitting in this chair across from me. This has been such a great conversation. And please, please, please take a look, follow the Dapper Latino if you already, one Dapper Latino if you haven't already. And I promise you, you will never, ever wonder what to eat or what to hang on your walls or where to buy something. He's going to let you know what's in Kansas City. And if you like this podcast, please, please like and subscribe to the Seraphine podcast. Really enjoyed this conversation with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seraphine. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, everybody. And keep it dapper.
Yes, keep it dapper.